This is the Growlers Nation Podcast, the official podcast of the Newfoundland Growlers. And now, here's your host, Growlers play-by-play voice, Chris Ballard.
And welcome to episode 6 of the Growlers Nation Podcast. I'm Chris Ballard, play-by-play broadcaster for your Newfoundland Growlers. So happy to have you aboard here for this one. Really exciting show here coming up. Later on in the program, we'll catch up with Nick Mercer. He is a multimedia journalist with the Central Voice. He may work in Central Newfoundland, but for this week's Growlerville feature, we're going to talk about his neck of the woods in Harbour, Grace, Newfoundland and Labrador. But for now, we're going to introduce our first guest of the afternoon. He is a goaltender for your Newfoundland Growlers, and we're going to get to know him real well here this afternoon. Please welcome, as if there's an audience here, to welcome you, Patrick Munson. Patrick, thanks for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here.
Glad to hear it. So as we sit here now, for those of you who are not here with us, we are in Portland, Maine, overlooking the wonderful city of Portland. Early on in the road trip here for the Growlers. So, Patrick, before we go too far down the rabbit hole here, you're one of the new faces in the Growlers locker room this season. Just kind of for us, sum up your Growlers experience through the first, has it been a month yet? Sum it all up for us.
Yeah, it's probably been, a month?
Close enough.
Yeah, I couldn't say enough good things about it.
Awesome.
Obviously, I've played a lot of places, and I was talking to my little brother last night. I don't think I've ever been treated so well between the organization, with the fans, with just having a great group of guys, and I mean everything's first class. We travel so well, we get treated so well back at home, and it's been so much fun to play here. Awesome,
glad to hear that. We're going to take you back to your dog days of your time with the Growlers. Well, I'm curious to know, what was the vibe for yourself during training camp in particular? The defending champions of this league, you're coming in as one of the new guys. Kind of, how did you first, I guess, end up in Growlers training camp, and kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's actually kind of weird. So I was at Chicago Wolves camp, and they were affiliate with Vegas,
right.
And I was just there and had kind of made some phone calls to some different ECHL teams, and just on my own ended up reaching out to Snowy and just threw a text message just saying if you guys need a guy for camp, and
sure enough,
it just kind of worked out where...
Did you know Snowy?
No. I honestly, I knew no one in the organization. I knew nothing.
Stop. So you're cold calling.
Literally, I was, I had nothing. At first, I had an agent and was kind of giving me the wash that everything was going to work out, and it was great. And then it was like August 15th. I'm like, dude, I have nothing right now. And,
oh my God.
So I was actually staying with my buddy who plays hockey at Ohio State. I was training there and just started Googling coaches' numbers.
Stop.
And just messaged Snowy kind of out of the blue. And
hey man, I'm like a goalie. Can I come to your camp?
I'm a hockey player. Do you guys need a hockey player? And then it somehow worked out that my name got passed across where I went to Chicago Wolves camp, and I was there, and it's really weird that I just kept showing up because they never told me I never got cut, and there was a big line of cuts, and I was still there, and
right.
I was telling Snowy, I was like, I don't know.
You didn't forget to cut me,
yeah,
did
they
you?
didn't. Well, that's the thing. I was like, if I get cut, I would love to come to your camp. He's like, no, yeah, for sure, let me know, but be in touch. And just days kept going by, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll keep showing up.
Sure, why? Yeah.
And and then finally the one day they're just like, hey, we're going to lease you off your PTO, and I texted Snowy, and everything kind of worked pretty quick, and ended up signing it might even honestly have been just a tryout contract, and showed up. I might have even missed the first day. I think I missed the first day.
You did. I forgot that until you brought that up.
Yeah, I wasn't there the first day, and
That's funny.
And coming here, I didn't know anyone at the camp. I knew one of the goalies that I was competing against. He was like a third stringer in college that I played against my freshman year, and I met him once. So I was super nervous. I didn't know anyone, and this is everyone was talking about how good this team was, and I knew Michael Gartag a little bit. He was talking about how good this team was going to be. So I'm like, gotta have I gotta be ready to go. But I was also I was really nervous, and we got through and right into a scrimmage. I might have been the first, second day, and I was doing okay, but I wasn't happy where I was how I was playing, and but everyone was really nice, and it was going good, and we had a scrimmage against Brampton. And
that's right.
The first one, Maxime played, and then the next day it was me and the other goalie both played, and it was kind of the same thing. No one told me not to just go with the team, so I was like, I guess I'm not cut. I guess I'll just stay with the group and. Yeah, it's really interesting. I just
kidding.
Yeah,
wow, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
So I mean, now that you've kind of settled in, like what's it like in the room? Now I know you said earlier, obviously your first impression was positive, but things I think are starting to go the right way for the squad right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a pretty open guy. I can talk just about anyone. And
sure.
So we have a ton of awesome personalities on our team. Like between Mal and Fergie, those guys are just so funny and. Yeah, it was really easy to just start, talking to guys here and there, and then on the ice, you just kind of work hard and hopefully gain the respect of your teammates, and then it builds pretty quickly like that. So.
No, for sure. So was there a particular moment, do you have a story of, did Snowy tell you made the team? You're flying back from training camp in Ontario to join the squad in Newfoundland?
Not really. I mean, I kind of looked around, it was me and Zook, and I was like, well, I mean, I guess I'm going back. I guess I'm here. So
no way.
Yeah,
it's not even like a moment where it's son, you did it.
There was
the squad.
There wasn't a big hug. It wasn't
I didn't expect that.
It's just, yeah. It was just I was happy to I had shown enough where they'd want me to come back to Newfoundland. So I was just pumped.
No kidding. So, I mean, talk about then making it into your first game, the Growlers' second game of the season. You had an absolutely stellar performance for the team's first win of the year in front of a great crowd at home. It was banner-raising weekend. Kind of sum up your first game experience for the team, because that's a lot.
Well, it's, as a goalie, man, it is so different because you just have to, make a good impression. And, making saves is what's most important. I hate to say that, but you just want to come in and, show the guys that they can trust you back there and that, if they make mistakes, you can bail them out. And really, you just want them to have confidence in you. And, we came out the first night, we played really well. And that second night, we had a slow start. And I just kind of knew, I was like, man, if I can just, keep us in the game, I know we can score goals. And it just kind of worked out. What was it? We were down 2-1, 2-0, and we battled back. Buried another one, tied it up, and then in OT, Macker had a sweet goal, and
that was sweet.
I was fired up just because it was get a first win at home in front of the fans, and it was a good game, and yeah, it was pretty awesome. I was really happy.
Of course. And now you had, through our conversations leading up to that, you had warned me about, okay, Ballard, we have a team that scores goals. You're gonna love this because I get so fired up in my crease that you'll see me kind of fist pumping and smacking the boards with the fans and stuff, and I'm like, okay, so this dude is a weird goalie. No judgment. No. I'm in a friendly way. I'm not making fun of you here. You got to try and explain that for us, because even some fans have tweeted at us, being like, this goalie's awesome. We love how into it he gets. Kind of, where does that come from for you?
I think there's a lot of things. I shouldn't say there's not a lot of things. It's not that complex.
No.
But I still have so much fun playing hockey that, and I see how hard the guys work, and, when they score, it's it's so awesome to see them score, and then, obviously for me, it's great. We get more goals. I love it. I would love to score a goal someday, but
100%.
I get really fired up, and sometimes when it's a really big goal, I'll knee drop, I'll fist pump. I get fired up, and honestly, it kind of started in high school, and I didn't really know it, but my little brother would kind of sit in the corner, and we kind of both let's go. Yeah. And in college, same thing. We'd score a goal, and it kind of became known a little bit there. No one really ever said anything because no one's watching the goalie,
Right.
And and then last year I basically got caught. They had a video they had a GoPro behind the net, and then they posted a video of we scored 7 goals in the first game. I had 7 legit sellies. I was fired up, and oh god, I got so much grief for that.
But it's awesome. There's nothing wrong with showing that kind of emotion. Goalie or not, I feel like goalies get the rep. You're supposed to be this stoic, stone-faced. Yeah, some guys, that's fine, but that's not your style I'm taking.
No, man, it's a game. It should
supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun.
Amen, brother. I have to tell this story as well, just because I found this. And I will go back to what I said about you being a weird goalie, because, and I've said this to your face before, to your credit, you don't meet a lot of the weird goalie criteria. And I'm going to tell the story that illustrates that. I remember it was one of the first games. It was your first game. Yeah, that's right. And, I'm at the rink. It's, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I've got my bag, and I'm ready to go and look over my notes and stuff. So I turn the corner at the Bob Cole Media Center at mile 1 to sit down, expecting to find Raj in his seat, and I see you in Raj's seat, taping your stick, and you're like, "Hey, what's up, Bals, man? How's it going? What'd you have for breakfast?" Like, you were so chatty and cool, and it was great, and I didn't think anything of it, but in my experience in professional hockey, goalies, you stay the heck away from goalies on game day. Don't even look at goalies. But so I thought it was super cool that you were so engaging and shooting the breeze with me before, your first start in this league, in the defending championship situation, the banners hanging in the wrap. I just thought that was really interesting. So I don't know, like, what made you come up to the booth, I guess, in the first place to tape your stick or get your game face on, and why is it you think you don't kind of meet those kind of goalie tropes? Do you know what I mean?
When I tape my sticks for a game, I always try and get to a high point in the arena and just kind of tape my stick and just kind of overlook the arena, just kind of get used to wherever we're playing. I mean, as dumb as that sounds, just try and feel comfortable and, just kind of relax. And then, if I can get up to the media center or whatever, that's always usually the highest point. And
that's right.
It's, again, a lot of guys, they get so, so crazy focused and intense. And when I'm on the ice, I'm really intense and I'm really into the game.
Right.
But beforehand, like, if it's hockey, man, like, I'm going to try my best to stop the puck. I hope I do. I'm going to really give it all I got, but there's no reason why, to not just, chat and be cool and just hang out. And, when it's game time, it's ready to go. And yeah, I've tried doing the whole, like, I'm just going to not talk because that's supposed to be the goalie thing, right? You're not supposed to talk.
Right, well, that's what I mean.
Headphones and just be kind of like your own person, but it's like, it's a team game and all 6 of us are trying to defend and, I don't know. I just feel like I'm more one of the guys than I'm just the goalie,
Right. No, I absolutely understand where you're coming from. And that was a couple of times now. And I remember the second time you were sitting with Raj and I was like, "Oh, man, I'll let them have their conversation." And you called me out. You're like, "Where were you, man? I was looking forward to our chat. I played so well last time." I'm like, "All right, man." I'm going to throw out my goalie rule book here because I have no idea what's going to work here with you. A quick look at your Elite Prospects page will turn up that you have a nickname that people call you. I understand no one calls you Patrick. Everyone calls you Packy. And before we go down the rabbit hole, I will jump out in front of this one and say it's not offensive to anybody. It is a version of Patrick, I understand. It sounds a lot like something derogatory. Certainly not our intent here. But how did that nickname come about, and how did it stick, I guess?
I guess there's not really, a story. I know my grandpa, he called my dad Pax or Packy or whatever, and just kind of with the name. And I think when I was born, my mom and dad just called me Packy, and it just stuck, man. Like, I don't think anyone from kindergarten, no teacher, whatever, unless I was in trouble. If I was in trouble, my mom, oh yeah, my mom is Patrick. If it's a principal, which hopefully wasn't too many times. But yeah, when I was in trouble, it was Patrick. That's when I knew things were going bad. But everyone else just called me Packy, and I loved it because I just, it's a different name. And
for sure.
It was a cool name. I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, you're the only Packy I know.
Yeah, exactly, sure. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's unique. And so it's funny, when my mom is getting mad at me, it's like Christopher Gerard Ballard. But for you, it's just Patrick Munson.
Yeah. It is weird, though, because, like, if we're ever in a loud place or if you're meeting someone in a loud place, and like, we was talking about, like, if you introduce someone to a girl, like, my name is Packy, they're like,
pardon?
Yeah, what's your name,
Say that again?
But, yeah, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, it's Patrick, and I'm like, ugh, so I throw up, but, yeah, no, Packy's cool.
So let's take a look through your career and the path that led you to Newfoundland. Oh, boy. You're from Hugo, Minnesota. We'll start there, just north of St. Paul. I assume that's where you started playing your hockey growing up?
Yeah, just, my friends were going to this thing called hockey, and I just wanted to hang out with my friends, so my parents dropped me off, and, yeah, then I was a forward, and then there was a goalie getting jumped on after some mite game before us. I was like, I
want to be the guy on the bottom of that pile.
Yeah, I didn't really pay attention to the rest of the game where people shoot pucks at you, and you got to get in the way, but, yeah, that looked cool, so I did that, and... Yeah, it kind of knacked for right away, and it was again, it's just fun, something to do with my friends.
Absolutely. 2 years in Fairbanks, Alaska, in the NAHL or the NAHL in 13-14 and 14-15. What's the hockey culture like in Alaska? I have no idea.
It actually reminds me a fairly amount, like, to Newfoundland. Like,
really
just a really close community. They really just love hockey, and everyone's just really nice, and everyone's really supportive of everything, and they had a really loyal fan base there. I mean, every night we sold out our rink, and
awesome.
It was great, and it was kind of the same thing there. Like, I didn't really have a place to go after high school, and I talked to them a few times, and they invited me to the only camp I got invited to, and ended up just making the team out of camp, and then I was there for 2 years.
You're like, I guess I'm living in Alaska now.
They didn't tell me to leave again, so I stayed. So.
That's the thing.
They just don't tell me to leave, so I just, I'll hang out.
It could be worse. I'm most curious to pick your brain about your college career, because, again, if anyone out there in Growlers Nation has had a chance to observe the Elite Prospects page of Mr. Munson, you'll see 1 year at University of Vermont in 2015-2016, 1 year at the University of Denver in 2016-17 with 0 games played, and 1 year at Michigan Tech 2017-2018. If you can, just navigate us toward your college career.
Oh, this is a fun ride. No. So I was when I was in Fairbanks as my second year junior, and I had another year of junior left, but I felt that I was ready to go to college, and the school that had kind of gave me the most interest and seemed to have a place for me to step in and play was Vermont. Mm-hmm. And so ended up committing there, and first actually I broke my hand in my sleep the night before my first college game, which was supposed to be against the Gophers.
What?
Riddle me that one. Yeah, I was just sleeping, and I don't know if it was Muhammad Ali or what, but my roommate woke me up, and I just had broke my hand. I tried practicing throughout the week, and he's just like, I'm like, I think something's wrong with my hand. I must cement wall dorm room and must have just winged it. I don't know.
Oh my God.
It's the craziest thing ever. And so first month and a half the season, I just had this big cast in my hand, and they formed my blocker to it, so I just was barely holding my stick. And
what?
Yeah, dude, I know, it's crazy. And so then it's it's right before Christmas time. Yeah, it was December 10th, and the starting goalie got hurt in a game, and I had just gotten cleared, and the head coach was like, all right, you're the starter, because the other guy's out for a month.
Yeah.
And I basically just played the rest of the season, and
just ran with it.
Just ran with it. Yeah, I had we had a lot more team success. I had some really nice individual success, and it was really fun. And yeah, it got to the end of the year, and kind of the scholarship situation, what they had kind of put out there wasn't what actually happened, and I just kind of.
So they reneged on a scholarship essentially.
It was kind of an interesting.
We don't have to get into the real drama.
No, it wasn't what I'd hoped, and what it was kind of the plan was, and so I talked to my family, and it was just the right move that hey, I was going to transfer. And then I don't know if you know this, but in NCAA, if you transfer, you have to sit out a year. You have to redshirt.
You had mentioned that to me, and I didn't really know that until you had said that.
And so that obviously sucks. You have to you go to the school, but you have to sit out a year.
Right.
And so University of Denver had given me a full scholarship for my redshirt season, and that year we had, I think at this point we had 8 NHL players, and we won the national championship.
Yeah.
And it was flipping awesome. It was an absolute blast.
Absolutely.
And Denver's an awesome city, and met a ton of great people there, and. And at the end of that season, my plan going there was they had a starting goalie that was a junior his plan was to move on and leave, and he ended up not getting the offers or any offers, and so he was coming back for his senior year, and Jim Montgomery, who was the head coach for Dallas Stars now.
Right.
He's just was really blatantly honest with me. He's just like, it's going to be really hard for you to play any games, and you're just not really a backup. And I was like, I totally get it. And he actually was really, really helpful and ended up getting me to Michigan Tech for a year, and again, kind of came in there and played a lot of games. We ended up winning the conference championship and playoffs, and I was lucky to have a really, really good playoff run. And yeah, it was just kind of wow, 3 schools, 3 years. Yeah.
That's crazy. How hard is it in that year not playing games?
Boy.
I don't know a ton about NCAA. I will say that up front, but that doesn't seem fair. I might understand
it's silly, right?
But yeah.
Because you get traded in major, junior, and stuff. It's just the college thing, man. I think they just don't want, obviously, the wormhole of kids just to leave, to have it be free agency every year.
Yeah, there has to be some accountability, I guess.
And I got it. And to be honest, I probably had the best situation possible for a redshirt could ever have, because awesome team, awesome city, great coaching staff. And I lived with 4 of my teammates, and it was seriously one of the most fun years of my life. And yeah, I mean, obviously it sucked because I am a really competitive person, and I just wanted to play so bad, and yeah, it obviously wears on you eventually. But it was a good time. I have zero complaints about my time there.
No, absolutely. So when you write the book on your career, man, that's going to be one heck of a book. I'll tell you that.
It's a doozy.
You started your pro career then in 2018-19, just last season, with the Nottingham Panthers in the EIHL. How did you end up having that be your first pro opportunity?
So I had actually gone back to Michigan Tech for my 4th year, and the coach had basically just over-recruited me because at the end of my junior year, I was really looking into professional options, and it was kind of weighing on me with the different NHL teams I was talking to, and the plan was to just go back for my 4th year, but I was very open with my head coach there that if I got the right offer, like I was
Sorry.
ready. Oh, no problem. Yeah, I was ready. I'm ready to go pro.
Sure.
I want to play pro. And I came back, and he had over-recruited to get another goalie, and it just kind of, as I came back, it was about 3 weeks in, they're just like, yeah, we got our goalie, see ya.
No.
Yeah, so yeah, I was on.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. So I was just on my couch in Michigan Tech for like a month and a half trying to figure out what the best plan to do. You go try and get the ECHL route, whatever, and out of nowhere, just an offer from the English League came in, and my advisor at the time was like, you know what, this would actually be a great opportunity for you because this is a league with a lot of former NHL and American League players and top leagues. Like, you can go there, learn a lot, learn how to be a pro, and really kind of start your career in a different way that you probably didn't plan on doing it. But
sure.
I think it'll be really helpful, and I absolutely loved it. It was actually probably one of the best things that could ever happen to me.
Stop. What makes you say that?
So we had a really veteran roster. I mean, we probably had 9 to 10 guys that had played in the NHL.
Get out.
Yeah, we had it was awesome, and those guys, I mean, just teaching me how to be a pro. I mean, I really grew up a ton, and like Chris Stewart was a longtime NHL player, and he's back in the league now,
which is crazy.
And really nuts. But he right away when he came to our team, he just like took me under his wing and just taught me so much, and kind of became part of his family. And yeah, I still talk to him all the time. Like I think we're in Tuesday, we're in Reading or whatever, and they're playing Philly, and he's like, yo man, if you can come at all, get your number, come down to the game. I mean, he's literally, he's all time.
No
he's
way.
He's the best guy. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there's so many guys there that I met that really, really helped me out, and they just taught me so much. So I would have loved obviously to get my career started in North America, but having gone over there and like my goalie partner was a 10-year KHL veteran who played in the NHL. He's from Canada, and he helped me out a ton this summer. I mean, it's just like the connections I made in that literally those 4 months I was there, like were like what set me up through. I'm like, okay, if I come back to North America, I know I'm gonna have success.
Get out. That's wild.
I know.
I want to help you write your book. Will you at least do me that solid
Absolutely.
Down the road?
Absolutely.
That'll lead us into our first Growlers Nation Q&A question. This one coming from Brendan Walsh. What was it like playing professional hockey in England? So I will help kind of fine-tune this question, if I may. What's the hockey culture like in England? Obviously, we know the Canadian culture. Obviously, your neck of the woods. What's the culture like in England?
They are very passionate. They're hockey's not their sport. Soccer's obviously their sport. So they kind of view it as like ice soccer, like they're so passionate about our team. They're the loudest fans I've ever played in front of. Like I think they're still trying to figure out the game of hockey, like the physical, because they think everything's a penalty and they're always screaming and they're really in it, but it's like soccer. And that's just the best way to put it. But they loved us. I mean, they treat us so well, and again, just incredible support, always packing the place at games. But the hockey was really good because the whole league was just filled with a ton of guys that have had a lot of pro experience. So it was a really pro game, and I thought it was really good.
Did you get to travel around much at all while you were over there, or were you just kind of in a schedule situation where you were just kind of locked in?
So we obviously for that league, like we get to go to Scotland and Ireland and obviously the entire UK, which I thought was awesome because I'm a huge golf guy. So we got to we had a couple off days. We got to play some Ryder Cup courses and it was sick. Yeah, I loved it. And then we had a couple small breaks with me and actually Chris Stewart and a couple other guys. We went to Budapest for 3 days, and that was incredible.
Had you been to Europe before this?
Oh God, I never left the United States. I don't think I ever went to Mexico. I went to Canada for a couple hockey trips in Toronto when I was younger. But it was super eye opening over to Europe, and we went to London. Obviously, that was really cool, a ton, and I got to see some really cool places. So I couldn't say a bad thing about it.
No kidding. Favorite European city or stop or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you got to see London, but I loved Budapest. Budapest was the coolest city in Hungary. It was
Get out.
It was this little city on the water, but it was It was just gorgeous. It was really sweet. We had a fun time.
Crazy, man. Yeah. We'll roll right into a handful of Q&A questions here. So we'll compare taking you from Budapest now to Newfoundland with Cindy and Mike Stone asking, how do you like living in Newfoundland, the great province of Newfoundland and Labrador? So I know you've only been here, again, probably just a handful of weeks up to a month, but what's been your experience like on the Rock?
Oh, man, this is the best. I love it here. Like I said, I've played a lot of places, and I think I was talking to my grandpa even last night. I was like, this is the best place for a play. Like, it is, the city is so cool, and we got screeched in last weekend.
Heck
that was
yeah.
so funny, and the other guy who was doing it was awesome, and just the people, man. Everyone's so friendly. Like, we ran into just a bunch of locals, and we had a little team that screeched in day, and we met Terry Ryan, guys that kind of we had heard of, and they were just super nice and super outgoing, and everyone we've met is just really supportive of us, and the food in town's great. Our arenas and facilities are just phenomenal. Like, we get treated first class, and yeah, I love Newfoundland. It's great.
I'm going to pick apart some of what you just talked about. The food, I obviously enjoy eating, and I find Newfoundland cuisine is a unique bird.
Very.
Do you like seafood? That's, I think, at the core of it. And have you tried anything weird?
I haven't tried that many weird things yet, but I love sushi. And Pooley's my roommate, so we went to a couple sushi places and.
Great sushi in St. John's.
Oh, phenomenal. And he's obviously from, he should say not from here, but he played here last year.
Right.
So he knew all the good food spots. But yeah, I mean, there's the Holidays is like
the meat market.
Yeah, it's right by our house.
An institution,
yeah. So almost every night we go down there and figure some out, and Pooley loves to cook, so it's great for me. He just picks some out, he cooks it, I just hang out and be supportive in the kitchen, and then, it's been great. I love the food.
No kidding. Okay, have you tried Toutons yet? Do you know what they are yet?
Sir, I have no idea what that is. What's a Touton?
Well, basically, and someone out there will correct me on the traditional specifics. Yeah. So, from my understanding, a Touton is, from a traditional standpoint, is if your mother or your grandmother was making homemade bread, whatever wouldn't fit in the pan, you'd have these little scraps of bread dough. You throw them in a pan and fry up the pieces of bread dough.
Come on.
Yeah, and you would eat it with, traditionally, again, would be, I think, molasses, but more of a maple syrup and a little butter kind of guy.
Okay.
It's typically, I would say, a breakfast food. Okay. How does that sound to you?
Hey, I used to be really picky, really picky.
Oh yeah,
I'm open to try things. Yeah, oh yeah, I still get a hard time from my family for how picky I was growing up.
But this is just white bread dough.
That's what I'm saying. I now I'm a lot more cultured with my experiences. I'm pretty much down to try anything.
All right. Well, someone out there, we got to get this kid some Toutons, and there's all kinds of like there's salt cod is at the core of a lot of traditional Newfoundland dishes. This is like dried codfish that has been salted in the sun traditionally, and it's then boiled into other meals.
Really?
Actually, yeah, now that I'm saying it out loud, it sounds awful, but it's fish and brewis is one. Delicious.
I'm a fish guy though, so
okay.
I grew up. My dad's a big fisherman, fishing trips to Canada. I love fishing, so
all right.
And we've eaten walleye, and we have a bunch of cod at our house, so I'm open to try fish. Fish is cool.
All right, so maybe that's another content piece. Maybe we'll take you out.
Take your own, try crazy stuff.
Bring it on. I think that sounds like fun. You guys out there listening, let us know if you want to see that. We're gonna roll into another Q&A question for this one from Curtis Peddle. This one we're gonna get you to put on your instructor's hat, Packy. What techniques would you teach young goalies to improve their rebound control? So we're going to help out the young goalies out there with a little professional tidbit here.
I mean, I think I need to work on my rebound control. No, I think honestly, a lot of goaltending, I just think is just mental, and I think going into a practice and saying I'm gonna put every rebound in the corner, or I'm gonna not give up rebounds to the middle. I mean, you just gotta. A lot of it's just kind of teaching yourself, because every goal is different, and even in the summers, that's kind of what my main, I wouldn't say job, because I would do it for free, but
sure.
I help out with the goalie company that helped me out, and yeah, a lot of it is you're a lot of reps and just teaching yourself and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't work, because just because it works for this goalie and he's doing it great, it doesn't mean it works for you. I mean, I think if you watch me and Zooks play, we play completely different styles.
Absolutely.
And yeah, there's not one way to play goalie, and like I said, if you love goalie and you like to work at it, eventually, if you tell yourself you want to do something and just keep working at it, it'll come.
Do you have a particular goalie that not that you style yourself after, but who would be your inspirations as a goalie?
Oh, I grew up. I was all over Jonathan Quick. I still love Jonathan Quick. I will, if he's on TV, I'll watch every second. I mean,
why him?
Just a freak athlete, man. He can do so, like, in the net. He's a pure goalie, man. He's never just being a blocker. He's always making saves, and that's the stuff that I love as a goalie. And obviously, guys, Carey Price is just awesome. Vasilevsky nowadays is like, if he's on, I won't miss a game of his. Like, he's so good and so athletic, but so in control of the game. And I mean, they just have a dominant presence, which something I like to watch. And obviously, if they're doing something, I'll watch and try and do it the next day. And if it works for me, I'll use it.
It's funny you say it like that, though. Like, if this guy's on TV, I'll definitely watch him. How do you watch a hockey game to focus on a goalie? It's almost an honest question, because to me, it's kind of like what you alluded to earlier. You just go in and stop pucks. But what do you look for if you're watching hockey on TV and say, I want to watch Jonathan Quick for this? Like, why? Can you kind of put your finger on it for us?
Yeah, I mean, I think you understand what kind of goalie you are, how you like to play. So if I'm saying, like, hey, Packy, how do you play? I'm like, well, I'm 6'2", 6'3", I'm taller, but I like to play pretty aggressive and pretty athletic. And so it's like a guy like Vasilevsky, who's also a tall guy and super athletic and super aggressive. It's like, I'm gonna watch how his hands are. I'm gonna watch how he plays the puck. Watch how he plays situations. If it's a point shot, is he really attacking the guy's stick blade, or is he playing it back? And a lot of it nowadays, especially, is how they play in tight situations around the net. And so those guys are just the best.
Okay. I got a few more questions here, just more getting to know you style. So I know, because our team is such a young team, a lot of the guys are into a lot of video games, a lot of Fortnite, a lot of other games that I don't know. Are you? I played Chell from 2016. Like, I haven't got the new one. Are you a video game guy at all?
I wasn't for the longest time. I'd play like some Madden and some NHL, but yeah, I love Fortnite. It's the best. It sucks. I'm a 24-year-old playing video games, but
hey, man, no judgment. I
don't judge either, because you can't not. My dad gives me the hardest time, because if he'd come home this summer, and be like 3 PM, and I'd be playing with my buddies, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, it's fun, man. Like, you get back from working out, whatever, and I'm like, yeah, my buddies are
You can't be locked in all the time.
You gotta have. Well, yeah, we get our arguments over is like, it's the same as you watching TV, except I'm actually doing something.
Fair enough,
right? But yeah, I know a lot of guys who love Fortnite, and obviously guys play NHL all the time. But yeah, those we like playing cards too. I mean But yeah, I like video games.
Hey, no shame in that. I will get you to try and help throw someone under the bus. Who's the worst Fortnite player on the team?
So I've only played with a couple guys.
Well, that should make it easier.
The rumor is Braz. The rumor is Braz is terrible at Fortnite. They were giving. I was in the locker room today, and Woodsy was giving him a hard time. They were calling him the weakest link. So that's just a rumor, not confirmed. But
his hands must be too big or something.
Yeah, he's a mutant. He's a freak. He's such a good athlete, but yep, not a good Fortnite player.
Okay. Now, I know among our listenership we have a lot of I'll call them goalie geeks and gear geeks and stuff like that. So I'll ask you about your current equipment setup, because I love the color. But first, I'm gonna try and see, do you remember like what your first set of pads was, or your first like stick? Because I used to play goal when I was younger, and I remember I had these old Coopers. They were brown and black, and they were like heavy from the 80s, and they were terrible. And I remember my first like stick was like the old like Coho Felix Potvin, the blue one. Like, do you have similar kind of memories of your first set of pads or mask or anything like that?
I do. So I was really lucky in our association that until you were like a Bantam or even a high school player, the association bought new pads for the goalies every year. I don't know if it's just a low bug.
What?
Yeah, it was like custom gear too. Sweet. So my first set was just like this like beat up old black Cooper set, and I remember my dad got me this like iTech helmet and had like a tiger on it, and I don't know what it was. And it was, I just like, I got a custom helmet.
This is so sick,
so cool. And then obviously association got us, we had our orange and black team color pads every year, and they were always like really cool. Like, they had the logos on it. I don't know, they made like Vic or some random brand, but like, they got Vaughn and some other stuff. And then I'll never forget, because then I was playing for the Minnesota Blades, which was like a AAA team. It was like most of the best kids in Minnesota. And my dad got me my first like custom set, and it was sick. I mean, it was like Simmons, orange and white. And I remember I came home because there was a big box in the living room, and I opened it.
It's like Christmas.
Oh, it was the coolest thing ever. And I just remember I love those things. And then Yeah, and then after that, it was like we would go to the hockey store, and I just would always just kind of get whatever set looked the coolest. I really had no idea if the size is right and it looked cool, we always got them. And then I got into junior, and then I was like kind of starting to figure out the gear thing. Kind of became just kind of a CCM guy, and then I've always just been CCM since.
Your current setup, I mean, obviously the color, I think, is what's going to jump out to most people. Obviously, that's your Michigan Tech, that yellow. It almost matches the Growlers.
I know, it's close.
Gold a little bit.
I love it, yeah. I mean, I need to get some new gear, but I do love the bright gold pads. I've always loved as a goalie, I love having the cool helmet, the bright, cool-looking pads. I like, you gotta have cocky pads.
It's like Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh yeah, he's
early days.
Great style. Yep, you gotta have great style.
And what about your mask? Talk about it. I know hopefully maybe a Growlers mask in the future, but until then, what is it you're rocking now? I haven't had a close look.
Yeah, it's still it's same helmet from college,
right?
Michigan Tech, but. Yeah, I've always had the school crest on one side, and had like the mountains from where I played, and then always in the back of my helmet I always have my grandpa's name. I always call him before games, and so I always like to have him in the back there. Know he's always with me, and then
awesome.
I just had some other like little stuff like that, just where I always had like a little Alaska sign or like where I played in Minnesota. So nothing too crazy, but I like to work on the custom gear, custom helmet. That stuff's the best part.
Oh, absolutely. So if you were to design for yourself a Growlers or Newfoundland themed helmet here, what based on your limited experience so far, what would be on it, do you think?
Well, I've already done some mock-ups of the gear.
Ooh.
Very, very cocky gold. The gold, that's a nice color gold. The helmet,
yeah, it is.
Helmet, I love the Growlers logo. I think it's a sweet logo. There's a lot you can do with that. And then gotta have something like just the city, like on the water. Like there's been a couple like photos that I saw like on Google that like it just looks so sweet. And so if I somehow work that into it, and then obviously we won the Kelly Cup. Me may have something on there, but. Yeah, I like the colors. You have a lot of options. You can do some stuff with that. So
no, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's going to do it here for us today for the first segment of the Growlers Nation podcast. Patrick Munson, thanks so much for coming on here today and sharing your story with us. It's a heck of a ride, and we wish you all the best moving forward, my friend.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Okay, so that was Patrick Munson of your Newfoundland Growlers. Always good to catch up with Patrick. And now we're going to roll right into this week's Growlerville segment, where I'm happy to welcome a very special guest, an old journo buddy of mine, currently a multimedia journalist with the Central Voice in Central Newfoundland. We've got Nick Mercer on the line. Nick, thanks for jumping on with us here today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Hey, not at all. So I know... while I know your coverage area is more focused in the great area of Central Newfoundland, today we're going to get you to focus in on the place where I know you would have cut your teeth and first started to fall in love with the game of hockey. We're looking at the area today of Bay Roberts and Harbour Grace for our Growlerville segment, and I know you grew up in that neck of the woods, so I'm going to ask you, Nick, real simple off the top, what makes those communities such great hockey towns?
I just think that when you talk hockey in Harbour Grace and Bay Roberts, in that whole Concession Bay North area, I think what really makes it pop is there's so many inherent rivalries there.
Yeah.
There's a love for the game, for sure. You look at modern hockey, there's the two rinks that are in CBN are on the go all the time. But there's just so many up the bay, down the bay, inherent rivalries in that area that are really drives the passion that people there have for hockey.
So what kind of rivalries? What are we talking about? Other towns in the area? Kind of lay it out there for us.
Yeah, so like right now, as it's been since I've been involved in modern hockey and through work as a journalist and everything, in CBN there are two primary modern hockey associations. So there's the CBs, which originate in Harbour Grace, and there's the Bay Arena Rovers that are in Bay Roberts. They play at the Bay Arena. It's kind of like Shelbyville and Springfield.
That's a great example.
I'm from Bay Roberts originally, but I've lived in Harbour Grace. Bay Roberts doesn't like them. They don't like us. We get along for like area teams, but like you really want to beat if you're a CB, you really want to beat Bay Arena and vice versa. It extends to high school hockey, where the Ascension Collegiate Astros are still high school in Bay Roberts, and Carbonear Collegiate, which is in Carbonear, and they play out of Harbour Grace.
Right.
They want to beat each other badly, even parents. I guess, like, not like they want to fight each other now.
But I mean, the rivalry is a real thing.
Those parents grew up playing against the other parents that they're seeing in the rink.
That's right.
And that same rivalry continues, right? It's generations old.
So that being said, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up, obviously, the most famous hockey player from that neck of the woods, Stanley Cup champion with the Detroit Red Wings, Danny Cleary. I'll ask you this, as someone who grew up in the area, really what was the impact that a guy like Danny had on hockey in that area?
Danny had a great impact. He's a guy that you could point to and say, well, he made it, or he's at this level. So that shows you that a guy from this neck of the woods, a small town in Harbour Grace, Carbonear for that matter. Danny's from Riverhead. For all intents and purposes, it's a part of Harbour Grace.
Right.
But if you're from Riverhead, you say you're from Riverhead and not Harbour Grace proper. But you look at a guy from Riverhead and you say, man, he grew up 5 minutes, 10 minutes from my house. Like, if he can do it, why can't I do it? You mentioned Danny Cleary. You'd be remiss to not mention another guy who played on the same team as Danny. Might not have went as far, but Corey Crocker played in the Ontario League.
That's right.
He's from Harbour Grace. He's Danny's best buddy. And not that at all traces from Danny, but Danny's sort of the shining example from our area. He was heavily influenced by Dick Power. You mentioned Danny, you kind of had to mention Dick, who coached Danny and Corey and a host of others from that went on from this area to play Maritime League or high level junior on the mainland. He's from Bell Island, came to Harbour Grace to sort of run the stadium, similar to how George Faulkner got started with the senior CBs. But Dick comes and he runs the stadium, plays defense for the CBs, and he becomes involved with minor hockey. And one of his prize pupils is Dan Cleary. Dan came and Dick passed away a couple of years ago. Danny came home and spoke at his funeral, delivered a eulogy.
Wow.
So Danny's number and Dick's number are raised they got banners in the rafters of the new stadium there, which is actually Danny Cleary Community Center.
I was going to say, I thought they named the new building after Danny. I think that in and of itself kind of speaks volumes to the impact he's had on that community.
Yeah, you drive into Harbour Grace, there's a big picture of Danny in his Red Wings uniform, declaring the town of champions, home of champions.
I love it.
Jamie Corey was also from Harbour Grace, so Olympian and a Stanley Cup champion.
Not bad. How many people would you say actually live currently in that area between, say, Bay Roberts, Harbour Grace, that kind of neck of the woods in Conception Bay North? Because that's pretty darn good for, a Stanley Cup champ and an Olympic gold medalist out of a pretty small sample size.
And I'm going to have to ballpark this because
sure.
I have it in front of me. I'm going to put it at 20,000 at least.
That's crazy. That's so
those,
good.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you look at those two, Cleary and Crocker. You've got Keith Delaney from North River, who would have played at the Bay Arena. He went in the 97 draft of Florida in the 6th round.
He had a cup of coffee with the St. John's Maple Leafs too, didn't he?
Yeah, he's one of a couple. John Drover played in Kingston. He's from Upper Island Cove.
Man.
And he was part of that stint in the last couple of years at the St. John's Maple Leafs, where they were looking to, I don't know if they were looking to bolster numbers in the rink, but they signed a handful of local guys. Terry Ron was one of them, I believe.
That's right.
You got Keith. John Drover was one of them. Craig Mercer, who's from Upper Island Cove, the Bay Roberts area. But interesting about we mentioned Craig. His son Dawson Mercer is actually tearing up the Q League right now.
Really?
Yeah, his son is Dawson Mercer in Drummondville. He just got a shout out from Craig Button on the TSN draft list. So
no big deal
up there. No, not at all.
I've kind of fallen out of the senior hockey scene a little bit, but I know in that neck of the woods, obviously the Seabees, I remember, and I told you we were going to get into this, I had the good fortune of only covering one Herder championship in my tenure when I was a real journalist, and that was, we had agreed, was in 2013, when you and I, when we were working for separate papers, I was with the Packet in Clarenville, and I can't even remember the name of the paper that was in Carbonear, Harbour Grace, that area. What was it again? Oh, it was
the Compass.
Yes, it was the Compass. I feel I'm embarrassed to admit that, but I remember that was when you and I really first met and got to cover senior hockey. cover that herder out there. But is senior hockey still alive and well out there? Kind of what's the situation in that neck of the woods for senior?
Right now, it's not. The CBs were, well, the team name is called the CB Stars.
Right.
The CB Stars, a couple years ago, they won another herder when they joined the East Coast Hockey League, the Avalon East Hockey League.
Right.
Now it's called the East Coast Hockey League. They won that herder. The year after they won the herder, the league didn't take them back. That was 3 years. Right now they're sitting at 3 years. If nothing goes ahead this year, there's a bit of drama around that. Now we could.
That might be a conversation for off the air, perhaps.
Yes. Yeah, that's that. You could fill. I don't know, a week's worth of broadcast with that. So if nothing goes ahead this year, this will be your third year out of the league. It's still, but the CBs they still carry they still resonate in the area, right? Every year hockey rolls around again. The fall, summer, baseball turns into hockey season, and people start wondering if the CBs are coming back or the CBs coming back. It's they got the new rink out there. It's only been open for a handful of years.
So the appetite is still there for it, is what we're saying. The appetite is still there for it. It's just, the powers that be, and I understand there's a lot of drama behind the scenes, and we don't have to get into all the specifics there. But I mean, that's really all I'm trying to get to the heart of is, it is a hockey community, and the people out there, they're dying for it. I know they still want it back.
Yeah, the CB's a long history. I believe someone will listen to this and correct me, I'm sure. But I think they sit at 14 herders.
Wow.
George Faulkner, the famous brother, the Hall of Fame brother of Alex Faulkner, the first Newfoundlander to go to the NHL. He ran the rink and was a member of the CBs. He's player coach of the CBs for 10 years. They got 4 in that 10-year period when Alex played there as well.
Wow.
So you look at there's a host of they're there, and then they're local guys. They're revered. Doug Moores, he was a goaltender on the '67 team that was their first herder. Jim Penny's numbers retired. He's a local defenseman. Someone's going to kill me for not naming more, but it's just the Faulkners, Penny, Joe Hunt. Had to mention Joe. He coached me in Pee Wee. And more than I should be able to name, but can't name. They all lend themselves to the tapestry of CB senior hockey in the area. It wasn't the only senior team. There was intermediate league in the Bay. And when I say the Bay, that's a colloquialism for Kentucky Bay North.
Fair enough. No, I don't think anyone listening to this podcast is going to hang you for that one.
But you look at, there was a team in Brigus, Coley's Point. Bear Roberts had a team. The Shearstown Tigers. Talk to anyone from my neck of the woods, you mentioned Shearstown Tigers, you're gonna have a conversation. There's just so much history there for senior hockey in that area that you can't not talk about senior hockey, or you can't not mention the area when you talk about senior hockey. And, we're talking about long-time teams. I think it'd be remiss not to mention the St. John's Junior Hockey League has had a team in Bay Roberts for 20 years.
And still to this day?
Yeah, they play now the CBN Junior Stars.
Yeah, right. I feel so ignorant because I mean it's hard to keep your finger on the pulse around all these awesome communities around the province, but I'm really glad to hear that it's still alive and well. And I know we talked before we jumped on the air here that minor hockey is still alive and well out in that neck of the woods as well.
Yeah, for sure. Numbers are booming as far as I know. Obviously, I'm stationed in central Newfoundland now,
right.
So I'm not in the rinks out there as much as I'd like. But for all intents and purposes, it's the Rovers and the CBs are full bore. And then there's major midget hockey, there's modern midget hockey, there's female AAA at the bantam and midget levels. There's the Pee Wee AAA, bantam AAA at the male level. It's just hockey's alive and well in Conception Bay North. I just want to, a quick shout out to from my research I did quickly after you asked me to come on this. There 4 female players from my area have gone to play collegiate hockey. So there's both sides of the game there are alive and well.
No, and thank you for saying that. No, that's absolutely important, especially with, say, the state of even women's professional hockey kind of in a bit of a tumultuous circumstance now with the folding of one of their leagues and the NHL, rumors of them backing. No, it's really important that those young women have a place to continue to ply their trade, once they get out of the college ranks. And no, I'm very glad you stopped me to say that. Again, Nick Mercer, social media journalist with the Central Voice. Thanks so much for your time. And great catching up with you, my friend.
All right, thanks, Chris.
So that is going to do it, folks, for episode 6 of the Growlers Nation podcast. Thank you to my very special guests, Patrick Munson and Nick Mercer, a multimedia journalist with the Central Voice, for joining us here today. Thank you for tuning in, and for all of your Q&A questions, make sure you keep those coming, and make sure you let us know if you're liking the content here on the podcast. We want to make sure you guys out there in Growlers Nation are all tuned in and liking what we're putting out there, and make sure you join me on the air, Mixlr.com/NL Growlers, for all 72 Growlers regular season games, and we'll catch you on the next podcast, Growlers Nation Podcast, every week. Make sure you tell your friends. Bye-bye for now.
You've been listening to the Growlers Nation Podcast with Chris Ballard. Follow the Growlers all season long on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at NL Growlers. Listen live to all 72 Growlers games on Mixlr, mixlr.com/NL Growlers.